The story begins in a fast food restaurant where a CIA agent named Peter is seen on the phone with his wife, Elena, who is pregnant. His wife also works at the same place as Peter, but Peter is an agent who works directly in the field. Peter is the best and highly trained CIA agent there. That's because Peter has the privilege of hearing abilities that are truly extraordinary. Peter is able to listen the slightest sound produced by everything around him. So with his specialty, he was able to make predictions of every attack that would be carried out by his enemies. Peter didn't get this privilege by accident. When Peter was a boy, he experienced a major incident that killed his parents due to a terrorist bomb attack. And another CIA agent named Byrne was the one who felt responsible for the incident, because during the bombing, Peter's ears were injured, which made him got hearing hypersensitive sense. The doctor who treated Peter told Byrne that his hearing would become his weakness if Peter couldn't control this animaling effect. But it would be something very special if Peter could control it, and because of all that had happened to Peter, young Byrne decided to make Peter as his adopted son. 15 years passed. Byrne, who came to see Peter at a fast food restaurant, gave Peter a secret mission outside the CIA, which was very difficult and only Peter could do it. Byrne tasked him with retrieving all the data on a biometric watch that was in the possession of a former CIA agent named Dimitri. The man has sold some of the country's most important information, including weapons and drug smuggling. Peter must successfully download all the data on the watch while Dimitri is still alive, because if he dies, the watch will deactivate along with his heartbeat. Dimitri is going to make a deal tonight with the Russian mafia. So Byrne asks Peter to move quickly before it's too late. Dimitri and some of his men were seen coming out of an elevator to have a meeting with the Russian mafia. But while in the basement parking lot, they realized that something was very suspicious. Peter could snare Dimitri's neck and also downloaded the data on his biometric watch. With his martial arts skills, Peter also could defeat all of Dimitri's henchmen. When Peter wanted to kill Dimitri, Elena and several CIA agents suddenly appeared in front of him. Elena then asked Peter to not kill him because they would bring Dimitri to justice. Because they had been investigating Dimitri for 8 months to gather all the evidence that could put Dimitri in jail. But suddenly Dimitri got up and shot Peter. Fortunately, the bullet only grazed his leg, but instead hit Elena's stomach, who was pregnant. 17 years later, in a secluded area of Oregon, Peter, who has now left the CIA and only paints to forget his past problems, remembers how he lost the child Elena was carrying. Peter was also very angry with Byrne, because why Elena could be in that place and made Peter to lose their child. Because of this incident, Elena couldn't have another baby and felt very traumatized when she saw Peter's face. So Elena and Peter decided to separate. At the CIA headquarters in Langley, Virginia, Elena, who was still working there, received several secret files sent by her colleague Dennis. In the secret file, Elena was also surprised to find secret information that closely related to her and Peter. Her colleague Dennis, who is currently traveling with a small child, gets a call from Elena and says that it was that the contents in the secret file that Dennis sent to her contain a secret project called the Intern. The project involves training young children to become trained assassins. Elena asked Dennis to leave there immediately. But when Dennis wanted to return to his car, the little boy, who was in his car, locked the car door from the inside. Suddenly, Dennis got a shot from someone who made him die on the spot, the man named Daniel, who was to be one of the interns with the nickname Ghost, including the little boy brought by Daniel. Daniel then asked him if he could get the secret driver, but the boy said that he only heard a woman's name, named Elena. Peter, who was busy with his painting activities, received a call from a woman who owned a beer shop and bar named Lucy. Lucy said that one of his paintings had been bought by someone and asked him to come to the bar to take the payment. Lucy also asked Peter to have some fun and enjoy life for once, instead of Peter having to constantly hide from his life. Peter received a package from someone, which was 2 books given by Elena on Peter's birthday. Elena also gave Peter words that read, "The hardest thing to see is what is in front of your eyes." Peter was thrilled to receive Elena's gift. That's because where so much time has passed, and for the first time, they reconnect. Long story short, Peter, who was shopping for daily necessities in the city, met his friend Niles, who was closing his computer shop. It was that in the city, Peter has changed his identity into a man named Mark Nicholson. Peter also accidentally crossed paths with an old tramp, commonly referred to as an old man. Peter asked him about what made him return to the city. The old man said that he had to prepare his needs for the impending apocalypse, such as pacemakers along with other medical devices. Peter has also arrived at Lucy's bar to take the money from the sale of his painting. Lucy asks about Peter's agenda tonight, whether he wants to celebrate the sale by having a beer with her. But Peter doesn't seem very interested in Lucy's invitation. Suddenly from behind, a young woman named Sophia approached him. Sophia came to the place after her mother told her that if anything happened to her, leave everything and go find him. Her mother also said that Peter was an artist, or commonly called the painter. Sophia said that her mother's name was Elena Moran, which of course made Peter very shocked and surprised. But Peter said that he didn't know that name, and Peter apologized that he couldn't help her. Moreover, his name was not Peter, but Mark. After the brief encounter, Peter decided to leave the bar, and Sophia as well. Sophia was very upset with Peter because he seemed very indifferent to her existence. When Sophia also wanted to leave, she asked Lucy for help in calling an online taxi because her cell phone had low battery. The next day, when Peter was getting ready to paint, he heard footsteps coming from outside his house. It was Sophia, who had been stalking him all night by asking Lucy where Peter's address was. Peter once again told Sophia that he couldn't help her. Peter suggested to Sophia to contact the police or the CIA for help. Perhaps her mother had made a mistake in telling her to come to this place because he wasn't the man Sophia looking for. Sophia seemed to have given up on what was happening. But before she left, Sophia just wanted to stay for a while to charge her cell phone. Inside Peter's house, while waiting for her cell phone to charge, Sophia wandered around in there while looking at some of the paintings that Peter had made. Sophia accidentally found a painting similar to her mother's face, which of course made her very angry with Peter, why Peter had lied to her, and then she said that Peter was her father. Peter then asked Sophia to hide in the bathroom, after Peter found out that there were 8 federal agents trying to get close to his house. They were sent by the CIA to get in there, investigate the contents of Peter's house, and also take Peter's life. Although Peter has long since retired from the agency, his skills, agility, and expertise as a highly trained former CIA agent are still very effective. Coupled with his special ability to hear voices, he was able to make predictions about the federal agents who were trying to attack him. Sophia was panicked and scared, as she thought the federal agents were there to kill her, but Peter tried to calm her down and told her that they needed to get out of that place and meet someone who might be able to help them. Meanwhile, at the CIA headquarters, the head of the surveillance division named Naomi was looking at the footage of the raid of the federal agents at Peter's house. Her subordinate, Agent Kim, who also saw Peter kill the federal agents, didn't expect Peter to do all this, because all he knew was that the painter had retired as a CIA agent 17 years ago. Agent Kim felt suspicious because after all this time, Peter had to reappear and show up again. Naomi said that the painter was suspected of having something of secret material, and it can be said to be a threat to national security. Naomi then asked her subordinates to send a defense perimeter around the Oregon region and make the painter their #1 target priority. Long story short, Naomi and Agent Kim headed to Byrne's house, who had now retired from the CIA organization and was currently more involved in politics. They both asked when was the last time Byrne had contact with his adopted son, Peter Barrett. This is because Peter is currently in the middle of committing a crime by killing 8 federal agents who were only trying to get information from him. They also had information that Peter was suspected of having possession of highly sensitive confidential data concerning national security. Byrne, who heard this, was shocked and angry because there was no way Peter could have done that. Byrne suspected that Peter had been framed for all of this. Agent Kim tried to ask where Peter was, but Byrne says that they haven't seen each other in years and that he intends to find out for himself. Peter and Sophia arrive at Niall's computer shop. Peter then asks for his help to hack into the CIA's security system and find some information there. Peter went there because he had a hunch that Niles could do the hack. Niles was actually hesitant to help Peter, but because Peter begged him by pointing a gun, Niles then complied with his request. After a while of searching, they only found a normal chat room. There were no missions or orders to kill or kidnap. There was also nothing suspicious about Elena Moran and Peter Barrett, who only appeared in secret. Later that night at an inn, Peter called Byrne and told him that a secret CIA team had just tried to kill him. Byrne also knew the news, because 2 agents had come to his house. Peter then asked Byrne to meet him personally at an address he had sent, in an industrial park 5 miles north of Oregon. Sophia was wake up from her sleep by Peter knocking on her door. Peter gives Sophia a tracker in case they get separated. Sophia hoped that they would soon find out where her mother was, because just a week ago, she found out all about her father when her mother told about her past. Sophia didn't know why, but all she knew was that her mother wanted Schlafia come to hear. But Peter said that he wasn't her father and could not be her father. That's because for Peter, his child is really dead because of events in the past. On the other hand, Daniel had been at Peter's place and found the mess that the federal agents had made. He talks to someone and says whether he was very stupid to send a group of amateurs to defeat the painter. Daniel was also trying to find any clues that might be useful in there to find the location of the painter. Accidentally on Peter's desk, he found a picture that read Lucy's Beer Cafe. Peter and Byrne finally met at a place they had agreed on. Peter got straight to the point and asked why the CIA agents were trying to kill him. Byrne said that there was an agent named Naomi Piasecki who ran these things, but he had never worked with her. But she had a very impressive reputation, although she seemed to be rather ruthless in hunting down her targets. She thought that Peter had classified security data that posed a national threat. Peter also denied all the accusations. That's because he didn't have and didn't know what they were accusing him of. Peter also had another question, who was Sophia, because the woman said that she was Elena's daughter, while they both knew that Peter and Elena's child was dead, and Elena could not have another child. Byrne said that maybe Peter was being played by that woman. The next day when Lucy arrived at her bar, she was surprised because there was someone suspicious sitting in her bar. It was Daniel who trying to ask about Peter's whereabouts. Lucy said that she didn't know anything and tried to shoot him, but it seems that the bullets in her gun have been taken by Daniel. Then Daniel attacked her because he was not satisfied with Lucy's answer. Peter then invited Byrne to meet with Sophia. Byrne immediately asked a number of questions related to Elena, because Byrne didn't believe that Sophia was Elena's daughter. Sophia then explained all the details and knowledge about her mother, from her long name, hair color, eye color, date of birth, and so on in detail and accurately. Byrne and Peter were even more surprised, because they also confirmed everything Sophia said. Now Peter asked Byrne to help them to find out where Elena was. Even though Byrne had retired, Byrne tried to contact the agency to ask where Elena was. After a while contacting the CIA, Byrne got information that Elena left to serve the country, or it could be said that she had died in her mission. Sophia, who heard that, was devastated and couldn't believe it, because a week earlier her mother had called and told her to come see her father if things got worse. Peter suddenly remembered the book Elena had given him and asked Byrne to look after Sophia, while he was going out to check something. Peter returned to his car and tried to look back at the book that Elena had sent him. After rereading the message written for him, Peter tried to dissect the contents in the book. Peter then found a flash drive hidden in the book and suspected everything that had happened to him was related to the flash drive he was carrying. Meanwhile, Naomi and Agent Kim have been in Oregon to track Peter's location. Naomi then asked her subordinates to be prepared for what might happen. They also received information that Byrne wasn't at his residence and suspected that Peter had made contact with him. Naomi suspected that Byrne was also involved in this incident, and Naomi asks Kim to arrest him if Byrne is involved with all of this. Peter is now at Niall's place to look at the contents of the data on the flash drive. The files are encrypted and show that the data came from a secret CIA server. The data contained action reports, statistics, Mattis recordings, and black operations related to a secret project called the Intern. Suddenly, Peter heard something approaching. It was Daniel, or Ghost, who had detected Peter's presence in that place. Even Daniel knew Peter's weakness by blowing a dog whistle that deafened his ears, so that makes Peter in pain, and with ease Daniel shot Peter, causing him to be wounded in his stomach. After escaping Daniel's attack, Peter headed to Lucy's place, but he was very surprised to find out that Lucy was also dead. Holding his wounded stomach due to ghost shots, Peter tried to open a video file with Elena in it. Elena also told him everything related and connected to the CIA and their secret project called the Intern. Elena said that the evidence in this file came from 2 former agents who nurtured an 8-year-old asset, part of a training program. They tried to get the kids out of there, but it didn't work. The interns stole the children, then brainwashed them, indoctrinated them, and turned them into assassins. Elena also apologized for leaving him in such a way. Elena added that their daughter was still alive and had survived. Because of that event, Elena asked him to find their daughter and protect her, but Peter couldn't clearly decipher Elena's words because the device he was carrying was faulty. Peter quickly headed back to their lodgings, only to find out that some federal agents were already there and were trying to kidnap Sophia. Byrne, who seemed to be in pain, asked Peter to go after them, while he would be there taking care of the rest. With the pain in his stomach, Peter tried to chase after the federal agents who had taken Sophia, but the federal agents could surround him, so he was trapped between them. Then Peter could escape from the federal agents who tried to surround and press him. Now Peter is in the darkness of the forest and trying to run and hide from the pursuit of federal agents. But unfortunately, Peter's body was unable to withstand the pain, and the blood that kept coming out of his body made him fall unconscious and passed away. But unexpectedly, the old man was nearby, who then took him to a secret place of his own and tried to treat Peter. Peter woke up from his stupor, and make him surprised, he then found out that the old man's medical equipment was quite complete. But what made him even more surprised was that all this time the old man was Byrne in disguise and kept an eye on Peter, because as a father he was always worried about his son's condition. Peter, who felt better because of Byrne's treatment, told him that he knew what the opposing party was after. After Peter could get into the data on the flash drive, they found something even more surprising. The interns were stealing children, raising them with agency parents, blinding their sense of sight so they could overdevelop their other senses. Suddenly, the computer crashed, making all the data to disappear. It turned out that there was some kind of virus that had been placed in order to automatically delete all the data. But Peter just smiled and remembered Elena's words about what critical redundancy was. Peter said that there was a copy, but he will first save Sophia as his responsibility for the sacrifice made by Elena. On the other hand, Naomi was seen preparing everything in the place where they locked up Sophia. Agent Kim seemed very suspicious of everything her boss had done. Agent Kim wanted to stop what her boss was doing to Sophia because she was only 17 years old, but Naomi doesn't seem to care about what her subordinates say. Then Naomi ordered Agent Kim to focus even more on checking the people they brought, because Sophia had brought a tracker, which would certainly make the painter head in their direction to save Sophia. Knowing a threat was approaching them, Naomi ordered all her subordinates to be ready. That was because the painter had moved towards them. A tight and layered guard had also been set up to keep their defenses from Peter's attack. Agent Kim, who was separated from Naomi, tried to save Sophia. That's because the situation is currently out of control. Peter was still trying and struggling to defeat the trained federal agents who were trying to chase him. While on their journey, Kim and Sophia accidentally met Naomi, who then told them both to follow her. On their way, Naomi will take over all the missions they are running, but Agent Kim refused and tried to convince his superiors that what they were doing was wrong, and they were also done with all this. Suddenly, Naomi shot Kim to death. Hearing the gunshots, Peter tried to get close to Sophia and Naomi, but when Peter was close to them, Daniel was already there and invited Peter to solve all this and prove who was the best intern, the patient 0 or a new and better one. Here it is revealed that Peter also was once part of the intern, but he got into the secret project because he had an accident, and they forced him to be better compared to Daniel, who had to undergo trials and coercion to do all that. After Peter defeated Daniel, he met Naomi. Here Naomi is very curious about Peter, because Byrne keeps praising him and telling her that Peter is the best agent ever. It turns out that Naomi is the head of the intern, and she has a nickname Mimic. Safia also entered there and was held hostage by 2 federal agents. But suddenly Byrne entered there and shot the 2 people. But it turns out that Byrne's presence there made Peter suspicious and suspected the mastermind of all this incident was Byrne. Byrne also admitted that he was the one behind all this. He handed over all his affairs in the organization to Naomi so that he could continue everything in the secret project. Byrne did that because he had been watched by many parties, so he decided to retire and leave everything to Naomi. He just watched and ran it from behind the scenes. Because all of his first experiments with Peter were successful, Byrne developed many people like himself. And Byrne managed to create trained assassins just like Peter. Byrne then ordered Sophia to ask Peter for the flash, and it was revealed that Sophia was also one of the projects of the intern who worked directly for Byrne. Peter, who saw that, was very surprised and asked Sophia to listen to his explanation. Peter said that he was really his biological father. He didn't care if he had to die, but Sophia had to know the truth about what had happened to her when her parents thought that Sophia was dead. It turned out that Byrne had stolen Sophia from them, and when Elena found out about the truth, she went to Byrne and asked him to give Sophia back. But Elena had to die because of that. Byrne didn't care about Peter's words and said that Sophia was a trained assassin who only obeyed his orders. Byrne continued to insist and order Sophia to comply with his request, which then suddenly shot Naomi and then Byrne to death. Sophia said that her brother and sister were just killing machines for her. Sophia will also soon come to him to retrieve the flash disk that he still has. Maybe the next time she saw Peter, Sophia would forget that he was her father. But that doesn't mean anything to Peter, because he will never forget that Sophia is his daughter. And before the movie ended, Peter was seen looking at Elena's video on the flash drive. Elena asked Peter to save all the children who were there, and in the flash drive, it contains all the files of the children who are in the intern. Sophia was also seen preparing to shoot Peter from outside, but Peter just smiled while looking at his daughter who was out there. And with that, the movie ended.